Nigerian officials have vowed to treat the flying of foreign flags during protests as a treasonous offence. This comes after protesters hoisted Russian flags during an anti-government march in the country's north. Dozens of protesters have since been arrested.
This footage from northern Nigeria shows Russian flags being waved during anti-government protests on Monday. And it's the reason some tailors who made such flags have been detained, the state's secret police have said. The Department of State Services wrote in a post on social media that it had also detained some of the tailors' sponsors without elaborating. The Russian embassy in Nigeria denied any involvement. However, the detentions underscore concerns about increased Russian activity in West Africa. Russian flags have been waved by residents of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger amid military coups in those countries. In Nigeria, hundreds of thousands have been protesting since August the 1st over economic hardships and crime. And in the northern states of Borno, Kaduna and Katsina, protesters have been seen waving hundreds of Russian flags, with some calling for a military takeover.
Within the sovereignty of Nigeria.
Nigeria's Chief of Defence Staff, General Christopher Musa, described the flying of foreign flags during anti-government protests as totally unacceptable.
We will not accept anybody, any individual flying any foreign flag in Nigeria. That is a treasonable offence, and it will be viewed and treated as such.
Security experts said many protesters believe Nigeria's cost of living crisis is the result of reforms dictated to President Bola Tinubu by Western institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The protests have now largely faded after a deadly police crackdown.
For more on these developments, we're joined now by Issa Sanusi, a director at Amnesty International Nigeria. Issa, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. The head of the army says the hoisting of flags is treasonous, but is there a particular reason why they frown upon this?
Well, all of us Nigerians were shocked, very, very shocked that the Russian flag is being flown at this protest. And this is unacceptable, and it's a threat to the sovereignty of our country. And I believe that the security agencies are going to handle it appropriately according to the law. And, you know, this dimension is an attempt by some people to hijack the original aim of the protest, which is seeking end to corruption and improvement in the living standard of the people, improvement of the economy of the country. So we are all surprised. It's unacceptable, and many of us are of the opinion that it was an attempt to smear the whole protest and divert attention from the real issue, which is the economic crisis Nigeria is facing now.
But outside of flags and the like, what has been the government's response overall to the protests?
Well, so far, the president has spoken to the nation through a national broadcast, and he mentioned some of the things that his government is doing. He has mentioned also things that the government is going to do. And he has also mentioned the reason why the subsidy on fuel was removed in May last year. So there are a lot of promises, but, you know, Nigerians are already disillusioned because most of the words coming from government officials are empty. Most of the promises are never fulfilled. And at the end of the day, we will be going back to where we come from, which is the difficulty will continue. Therefore, the only thing that will make difference now is if the government is resolute and sincere and started to show commitment to improving the living of the people, because majority of Nigerians could not feed their families, could not afford education, could not afford health care. And these are the issues. And unless the government does something concrete to address this, I don't think that we have seen the end of this protest.
But from what the president said, what you refer to as things that the government is going to do or is doing, did those sound real? Did those sound tangible? Did he sound as sincere and concrete, with concrete proposals, as you are suggesting or you are saying, is what should satisfy the protesters?
Well, let me just take one thing that the president has mentioned, the issue of agriculture. He mentioned about cultivating hectares, supplying tractors, and facilitating agriculture. Nigeria can feed itself and be, food secure. But unfortunately, in most parts of northern Nigeria where agriculture takes place and feeds the whole nation, people cannot go to their farms because bandits are on the loose and on rampage. They kill farmers. In fact, in some places, when a farmer go to his farm, they will put a levy on him. If he doesn't pay, they will kill him or rape his wife. So when the president was mentioning about, investing in agriculture, people would wonder, does he really know what is happening in those places where majority of the farmers live? Does he know that majority of the farmers in Nigeria have been displaced by this conflict, by these attacks by gunmen? So this is where the disconnect starts. But I am hoping and I'm optimistic that the government, through this protest, will see the light and will see the sign to do the right thing and make sure that whatever promises they are going to make and whatever plan they are going to unroll is going to be real and concrete and tangible, and it will make an impact on people's life. But people will never accept any more promises that never materialize at the end of the day.
What's in the way of the government seeing that light? I mean, why would a government be as stubborn in the light of the damaging protests that Nigeria is currently experiencing?
Well, we all know that Nigeria is broke, so to say. The economy is in a very difficult situation. Oil, which is the mainstay of the economy, is in jeopardy right now. And a lot of things are against the economy. So Nigeria is in trouble economically. Everyone knows that. But the only thing that is not making the difference is the fact that people are seeing government officials and the government politicians living lavishly. And Nigerian authorities are saying people should sacrifice the temporary pain of this time so that the future will be better. But that sacrifice is not being made by politicians who are living lavishly and putting a lot of huge, ridiculous amounts of money in their budgets for their own luxury, while people are struggling to even feed their families. So definitely the government is still standing that the fuel subsidy removal stands and many other economic policies stand. But the issue is, for how long will people continue to bear this hardship, and for how long? Therefore, this is the question, and we have to watch what will come in the next few weeks or months.
Well, the hardship may continue. The question is whether the protests will continue, given the fact that reports that after the deadly police crackdown, the numbers on the streets are now dwindling.
Well, definitely the protests are fizzling out, and even the protest planners did not intend it to be continuous. They said from the 1st to the 10th. So we are coming to the end of it all. But, this protest did not start today. They started in February, early in the year. They took place in 2 cities in northern Nigeria. So no one can say exactly what will happen, because if the hardship continued and people continue to see government as being indifferent or not sincere in its commitment to solving these problems, no one knows exactly what will happen. And even the protest organizers have been saying that, okay, we are going to look at our strategy and find a way for the next step. And that next step is something that the Nigerian government should watch out for. I am hoping that before then, the government will do the right thing. Reduce the cost of governance, reduce corruption, reduce mismanagement, invest in people, and make sure that at least Nigerians have a relief whereby people can afford to feed their families, send their children to school, afford medical care. If not, definitely there will continue to be tension between the people and those in government.
Issa Sanusi, thanks very much for your time.